All right, now it's streaming. Well, Restream is streaming anyway. Check Facebook.
Yes, I see it.
Okay. Hi, Facebook and YouTube. I think. Can you go to the YouTube channel real quick, Brandon? Do you remember the name of it?
Under the M cluster.
Yes.
1 second.
It says we're online.
Yes, I see it's on YouTube.
Yay! We're streaming in 2 different places at the same time. And so I'm just going to go, since I was ignoring you because I was actually setting up the stream, I'm going to go back to too far. This is just our test stream to see if this actually works. And all right, right here. Him taking off his helmet here is not a big deal. I'm going to tell you why it's not a big deal. Because
You say that.
let me get my fucking thought out.
Go ahead.
In the previous episode, where he's getting the coordinates for Moff Gideon's light cruiser, right?
Yes.
He makes this decision. He's like, I have to let it scan my face so I can do this. He takes his helmet off. He broke his oath. Full stop. That's it. He chose the child over his oath in that moment, not this one. This moment is just Baby Yoda going, and I don't give a fuck his name's Grogu. He's Baby Yoda.
It is still a big deal.
It's Baby Yoda going, I want to see your face, and him allowing it.
So he did it with Bill Burr in that scene to get the coordinates. Yes. But there were still only essentially two people who saw his face.
Doesn't matter.
And Bill Burr also said, I'm not gonna, tell anybody kind of thing.
Does not matter. He made an oath. He broke the oath. He knows he broke the oath. That's it.
He had already broken said oath in the first season.
Nope, because the IG-11 is not a person. It's a machine. Nobody else was around when IG-11 saw his face.
I still say it's a big deal because it's more more people.
In season 1, he took his helmet off at the thing so he could eat. We know he takes his helmet off. It's just he can't do it. He can't let anybody see his face. IG-11's not anybody. He's a machine.
But machines have personality.
Yes, they're. I want to say they're not sentient, but that's not true. But at least not in the Star Wars universe. But as far as I'm concerned, he did not break his oath by taking off his helmet for IG-11. He broke his oath to save the kid in that episode with Bill Burr. I can't remember the name of the episode right now. But was it The Siege? No, The Siege is the other one.
I can't remember the name of the episode,
but
he did, but he also, I feel like he did in part because of Bo-Katan, where Bo-Katan he knows is a actual, Mandalorian. It's not someone just bullshitting. And he has heard now from essentially their side that, the no face thing is essentially a religious zealot kind of thing.
Okay, so do you know what Child of the Watch means? No, you don't, because you haven't watched Clone Wars. She calls him a child of the watch, and basically calls him a religious zealot, like he's in some kind of cult, whatever. So, when I was reading that paragraph earlier, I talked about Tar Vizsla, the leader of Death Watch. That's what they're talking about. In the very first episode, when we see the Mandalorian get saved as a kid, right? When the other Mandalorians show up and save him, that's Death Watch. Death Watch saved him, and they inducted him into Death Watch, and he grew up with that creed. Okay, and he swore he would not take off the helmet until, or he would never take off the helmet in front of anybody or let anyone else take it off. And if that happened, he could never put the armor back on. In that episode where he's getting those coordinates, he made a conscious decision. I have to do this if I want to save the child. And in my mind, as a viewer, that's the really important part. That's like, and he in his own self, never mind the rules, never mind anybody else, according to him, this creed that we know is super important to him, he forsook it. Forsook it? Is that a word? Forsook?
But
Anyway.
so it's kind of multi-layered though. So he did, and I don't disagree there, but he had already met Bo-Katan, at least, previously.
Mhm.
And so he had essentially by that time two important things happened. One, he already had basically been sent on this mission to deliver the child to a Jedi. And then the second part of that is he has met Bo-Katan now and her crew,
Right.
and has learned that other Mandalorians exist.
But the creed isn't
follow.
The creed
that
isn't
same creed.
No, but the creed isn't don't take your helmet off in front of other Mandalorians or non-Mandalorians. It's don't take your helmet off in front of anybody. Period.
Right. So, but because Bo-Katan and her kin did when they met him, he learned essentially that the way he grew up was not the only way.
Yes. It's still okay. I'm trying to figure out a good analogy here, because just because other people don't believe as he believes doesn't automatically change his belief. And him making that decision, he's breaking the oath. That's a big deal to him.
That's true.
That is his moment where he makes that decision.
There were several things that led up to that, and so I guess I understand that. I still think this was the next big step. The one to save the kid was because he still wanted to save the kid, and he needed to do so. He needed to get it to a Jedi, etc. This second step is still major for him because now there are more people, not just other Mandalorians, and not just for his mission.
Yeah, no, I understand
it's still a giant deal.
I guess what I'm getting at is him taking off the mask here or the helmet is 100% for Grogu, but he did it in front of other people. It's the first time any of those people saw his face. I'm thinking going forward into season 3, which is obviously going to deal with them trying to retake Mandalore, Death Watch is going to get involved. And that question is going to come from the armorer again about him taking off his helmet. Whether the way they did it before or if it just comes up in conversation. Like maybe he goes in and like for confession or something. And they're going to tell him, well, you can't wear that armor anymore. And he's going to be like, eat a dick. And it's going to cause confrontation between him and Death Watch, which is going to create complications when they're trying to take Mandalore, because you're going to have two separate factions trying to do the same thing. That is where I think Bo-Katan's relevance is. I think when he met Bo-Katan and they took off his helmet and he was like, whoa, wow, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like, oh, you're a child of the Watch. And she gave him that perspective. I still think he was like, yeah, eat a dick. I'm not taking off my helmet in front of people. Like, I don't think he was like, oh, well, maybe it might be okay for me to take off. I don't think that was the case.
No, but then he's naive, right?
Yes, he's absolutely naive. For being a Mandalorian, he knows very little about Mandalore.
Yeah, I would say like he's very naive. So he's now met Bo-Katan and her group. Boba Fett wears the armor, but he doesn't really claim to be a Mandalorian.
Right.
But he's essentially still learned that there are other ways to live.
Yes, yes,
as
and that's
someone who has that armor.
totally valid. I agree with you 100% there. But I'm just saying, like people were talking about the big moment in this episode is him taking off his armor and forsaking his oath. He already forsook his oath. I'm going with forsook because that sounds like a word. He already forsook his oath. That's done. There's no going back in his mind. I think that's something he has to deal with internally, and I hopefully it'll be explored going forward. But him walking around in the armor, he knows he broke his oath. That's it. It's done, and he's just coming to terms with that. And him taking off the mask here, I think, is more along the lines of, well, I've already broken my oath. You know, the kid wants to see my face. I'm gonna let him see my face. I don't care who's around. I still think he's gonna wear the helmet, but I think it's gonna come off a lot more.
I think it will come up a lot more, especially as time goes on. But I think he's still going to be at least for the first half of season 3, reluctant to do so.
Oh yeah, I still think it'll come off, like you said, with reluctance, but
Not just reluctance, but also very, very careful about who he takes it off around.
I'm not sure about that, but that's definitely a possibility.
I think for him, it's going to be, of can I trust you?
Right. Oh, by the way, are you? We have one viewer on each stream. Are they both you?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was. Well, I'm gonna say it anyway, even though I'm gonna delete this. Anyone who happens to see this, yes, the background says Wandavision. Yes, we are talking about the Mandalorian. This is just for testing purposes because we're gonna be doing exactly.
Wait. No. I apologize. I am actually not the viewer on Facebook. Tracy is.
Oh, hey, Tracy. Or is he making comments? Because Tracy's a Star Wars nerd. What are his comments?
But he has the Darksaber. Can they ask for it back if he is in charge?
Can they? Who's they? Can they ask for it back? Are you talking about the non-Death Watch people? No, they can't ask for it back because of the whole stupid. You got to win it in combat, which isn't a real rule. That's
is
just
is it not?
It's not.
Didn't watch Rebels, so
okay,
I don't know.
So what I was reading you earlier is actually all about the Darksaber and the rules of how they got it back. It was never, ever, ever, canonically speaking, handed down by combat. It was handed down through lineage in the Vizsla clan, and it wasn't until Darth Maul took it from pre-Vizsla that they ever showed that it changed hands through combat, and he's not Mandalorian. So I think that is not a hard, fast rule, and the fact that they're making a big deal out of it annoys the shit out of me.
Can Death Watch ask for the helmet back?
I think Death Watch would have to take the helmet back. I think it's.
Oh well, no. I don't think that that Mando, because we still don't. He still isn't going by any other name.
It's Din Djarin.
I don't. As viewers, we know his name.
Yeah.
But generally, in this show, he is just Mando.
Right.
I agree there. He's if they can ask for it back, I think they even might be like, well, you can't wear that armor, and he's going to be like, no, you can fuck yourself.
Yeah, and that's the conflict I was talking about. That's going to come to. They're going to be like, you can't wear that armor, motherfucker. Like just how he was with Boba Fett. He's like, I'm taking that armor from you. Until Boba Fett was kind of like, look, this is my father. This is his chain code. This is me. And he basically convinced Mando that he earned the right to wear that armor. Right? I think Death Watch is going to be like, take that armor off. He's going to be like, eat a dick. Come get it. And it's going to cause problems between the faction that Bo-Katan is leading and Death Watch. Which has always been an internal issue anyway.
I mean, it might, but also Bo-Katan might lean into that to...
You think Bo-Katan's going to turn on Mando and say...
So that she has the chance to obtain it by combat.
I think that's going to happen before then. I think she'll have control of the saber before the whole issue between them and Death Watch. that's some prediction. I have no information saying that that's the case. This is my thought process.
I feel like there's gonna. The rule was hand me down from the Mandalorian's helmet.
Well, okay, I know what he's talking about. Being the Mandalore, the leader of the Mandalore, used to be the helmet was a symbol. Then the sword became the symbol. Um, and this, I believe, and Tracy, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The helmet was won by combat. Is that correct?
Um,
What is he? I can't see the comment. So
the last comment was just about the hand me down. I don't know the lore behind it.
I know you don't know. I mean,
But
that came out.
as far as like this kind of stuff goes, Mando's helmet wasn't won by combat. He
Yeah.
had it forged.
Yeah, that's. I don't think that's what Tracy's getting at though. Because the helmet is not going to be the symbol of the leadership of the Mandalorian in the show. It's only going to be the saber. Now, in the show coming up called The Acolyte, that occurs in the time of the High Republic, that could be a factor.
I didn't even know about the show you were talking about now.
Oh my God, there's like 10 new shows coming out.
Star Wars?
Yeah.
Huh.
Ahsoka's getting her own show. The Acolyte, the one I just mentioned. There's one called The Bad Batch, which is going to be an animated show, which is basically a bunch of clones that came out wrong. I had a whole list of them. What the hell? What's the other one? Rogue Squadron is a movie. What the hell's the other?
I know they're supposed to be doing I don't know if it's a standalone movie or if they're gunning for the trilogy thing that's supposed to take place like 500 years or something before.
That was Rian Johnson's trilogy, and I think that might be a moot point now because of all the shit that went down.
I don't know if that's the case because let me try to look it up real quick because the reason I say this is like I had issues once I read more about it. Like when I first heard about it, they were like, "Oh, we're going to do it way in the past." I was like, "Oh, well, that sounds great. You don't have to, you don't have to include anyone from any of the current stuff." But then they were like, "Oh, it's only 500 years ago." I'm like, "Well, that means Yoda's alive, so that's an issue."
Why is that an issue?
Because it would at least at some point, I feel like it would almost be mandatory to include him.
Nah, he could just be out there doing his own thing. I wouldn't have an issue with that. Okay, so upcoming shows. Mandalorian. Oh, no, you saw this, and anybody who hasn't seen the Mandalorian and gives a shit, you need to cover your ears right now because I'm going to spoil something. Boba Fett show, the Book of Boba Fett, is coming, and that's going to be airing concurrent with season 3 of the Mandalorian. Cassian Andor is getting his own show. You don't remember who that is?
No.
The guy from Rogue One, played by Diego Luna.
That doesn't.
He was
Cassian.
Basically, he was the male lead.
Well, why?
Because they want to give him his own show. Obi-Wan Kenobi show is coming out in 2022. Ahsoka show is coming out. Rangers of the New Republic. That's the one I was thinking of. Bad Batch, The Acolyte. Oh, Lando's getting his own show. Like young Lando. What's his name? And I lost your video. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Did that just mess up? Hold on. I gotta look at OBS now. Nope, it didn't. Okay. What are you shaking your head about?
I'm looking up the Cassian Andor or whatever. Like,
remember the final scene when everything's gonna blow up and they all die and they're sitting on the beach and they watch it happen?
That's what I mean. But he's doing because he's dead.
Yes, this happens before that.
But why do we even need that?
Why do we need an Ahsoka show? Why do we need an Obi-Wan show? We don't need any of these. I mean, I need an Obi-Wan show, but
Obi-Wan's more understandable because there's a lot of missing story between the last movie, or Rebels, if you will, and A New Hope.
so
I can
why
see
does
story
why
being
does
told there.
but why does everything have to revolve around that saga? Why can't they have stuff outside of the saga, like the
Well, I
Acolyte?
mean, so I'm gonna stick strictly to Cassian Andor for the moment.
Okay,
So Cassian Andor still has essentially something to do with that saga. I He was only introduced in Rogue One, and so I feel like it's there. At least for me, there's not enough attachment there. I don't really care about this guy.
you mean like the fact that during that time frame the rebellion is forming and he's a big part of trying to help the rebellion under uh, uh Mon Mothma?
I still feel like I just I have no attachment, so I just don't care about this guy.
I mean, you don't need to have attachments to a character to watch a new show. That's how you develop the attachment.
Well, so like Mandalorian, I had an attachment to because Mandalorians in general were
Mhm.
a big deal.
So you don't have an
Um,
attachment to the rebellion?
I do, but not this guy in particular. This
So
guy
you didn't
means
have an
nothing to
attachment
me.
to Din Djarin in particular.
But
Just
he's a
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
This guy's a rebel.
But like yeah, and he's just a generic rebel person.
And
Essentially, his story
Din
is going to
Djarin was
mean
just a
nothing.
generic
Hold on.
Mandalorian.
So hold on. Essentially, his story is going to mean jack and shit because we know his fate.
Just because he dies, his story doesn't mean anything?
Overall, yeah.
So Luke Skywalker's story just doesn't mean anything?
No, because there are things.
But he's dead. He died. So his story doesn't mean anything.
It's hard for me to quantify how I want to like debate this because Luke had a very very important role. Cassian Andor has a minimal role.
Um, a minimal role that you're aware of. You don't know his story.
Even with Rogue One, because we know essentially how Rogue One goes, and we know he dies.
Mm-hmm.
Up until that point, by all accounts, at least according to the movie, this dude was a nobody.
A nobody that got the plans for the Death Star.
I don't disagree, but essentially he was still a nobody.
Mm-hmm. Din Djarin was a nobody before the Mandalorian.
Hold on. Therefore, anything they do with a series about Cassian Andor can't have any, I would say, major impact on the overall saga.
Going forward, no. But it can flesh out what's already happened. Things that you didn't know occurred. We can find out about all the Bothans that lost their lives trying to get us this information.
No, that's actually episode 6. So no.
That's correct. Whatever. But you know what I mean.
So I feel like
You don't know everything that went down before they got the plans to the Death Star.
I don't. And I don't disagree that they could make certain things interesting.
How do
I
you
just
know?
feel like it's
How
not
do you know
going to
that he wasn't at Tashi Station? No, that was Luke Skywalker. Never mind. Well, no,
Yeah,
Tashi Station. Tashi Station existed before Luke Skywalker. He could have been at Tashi Station.
But it would make me roll my eyes because like I'd be like this stuff shouldn't happen. Like the Andor show I feel like should not be a thing. He's not an important character. He has
Yet.
very little impact other than Rogue One.
Yet.
And before Rogue One, he was a nobody.
Yet.
Having a show about him prior to Rogue One makes him a somebody, and therefore would almost invalidate his being a nobody in Rogue One.
So, all right, let me. What am I trying to say here? Alexander Hamilton was kind of a nobody until you knew his story.
Okay, so let's say I'm trying to think of how to word this.
I mean, everyone's a nobody until you know what they did.
Right. Okay, so that's like all of a sudden if they were to make a show about Alexander Hamilton when he was a kid in the Caribbean. And in the Caribbean, he meets Lafayette and Hercules Mulligan and George Washington and Aaron Burr, all of those people in the Caribbean for no fucking reason is what I feel like the show is going to be.
That is not a non sequitur, but a slippery slope, because you don't know who he's going. Like, you're automatically assuming he's going to be involved with, like, who would be involved at that time? So, like, Kimmy Schmitz. What the hell's his name? Organa, Bail Organa. Like, he's going to deal with Bail Organa. You don't necessarily know that. We know he's going to be involved with Mon Mothma, because we've seen them together. You know, he is going to run into Leia, because Leia's part of forming the rebellion. You know, he's
a teenage Leia.
Yeah. So it's not like he's going to run into. Well, he could. No, he can't run into Darth Vader. So no, he could run into Darth Vader.
Not really.
Vader existed. Like,
he did. He existed.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be too big of a deal for those
right.
kinds of
Well,
things to occur.
that's
also
that's your example. That's not my example. I'm just trying to justify what you said.
I would say also because, you know, essentially you can't have Jedis either, because Jedis are not supposed to exist. Vader's essentially, for the most part, killed them all.
I mean, they're still. What's the word I'm looking for? Myths? Legends?
And is it going to be the same actor?
Yes.
And see, there was also another problem, because if he's supposed to be younger,
so
there are issues here.
I will reserve judgment until I actually see the show. And since I liked Rogue One, I'm looking forward to it. Because Rogue One wasn't a shit show like the rest of the Disney trilogy was. Oh, by the way,
you liked that first movie.
I did like the first movie, and why don't you let me finish what I was going to say before you start talking shit?
You walked out of there and you were like, I kind of forgive J.J. Abrams for
Star
Trek.
And that is exactly what I'm bringing up right now. Fuck that guy. Okay? Fuck that guy for what he did for Rise of Skywalker. Fuck Rian Johnson for backing him into that corner. Okay?
I want to say that is all Rian Johnson's fault. Like,
yeah, but J.J. Abrams handled it extremely poorly. What he put out was a giant hot piece of garbage.
I think that he did the best he could, given what Rian Johnson shit on.
Rian Johnson did shit on a bunch of stuff. I'm not arguing that at all. But J.J. Abrams spent all his time trying to undo what Rian Johnson did, instead of going, well, this is what we have, let me make something good out of it.
But that's hard to do with...
It is hard to do, but he didn't even try to do it. He just went, well, now I gotta undo everything Rian Johnson did.
which I mean, honestly, I think that was the best move you could make. Instead, of,
Nope.
like
Nope. You fucked it
I
up.
feel like for
Fuck
me,
that guy.
it was better to try to undo it rather than lean hard into it.
Where's that picture that I'm thinking about right now? I gotta find this picture.
Because like if he leaned into it, I feel like that would have been worse.
Keep talking.
So like I by all means, I am not saying that that third movie was good, but I think JJ did an okay job of undoing and trying to fix the mess that Ryan Johnson made.
No, he didn't. Not at all. Everything he did was just terrible. I have a video essay that will undo everything you're trying to say because it's a hot pile of garbage. I was livid because it was the first. I didn't like The Last Jedi. I absolutely fucking hated The Rise of Skywalker. It's the first time I ever fucking hated anything Star Wars related.
I mean, I hated Solo.
I didn't hate Solo. I thought it was fine.
I thought that was a pile of garbage.
I can't find a meme. Anyway, there's a meme of Jon Favreau and J.J. Abrams sitting next to each other. And the caption is Abrams saying, "Dude, you're making me look like a douche." And Favreau's response is, "I'm just getting started." So, anyway.
The damage for was already done by Ryan Johnson. I think.
I agree. I'm not going to discount that at all. But
How would you have done it better?
I,
What would you have liked to see better?
I
Like
would have
leaning
to.
hard into it.
I would have to sit down and figure it out. I don't know. I haven't given it that level of thought because Star Wars was fucking dead at that point until Jon Favreau saved it from the clutches of the dipshit that are J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson.
I don't think J.J. is to blame here. I think that Ryan Johnson is to blame here.
Rian Johnson is certainly he was the catalyst. J.J. Abrams failed at fixing it. Instead of just doing what he should. Wait, is this it?
So that's the thing is that you're saying doing what he should have done, but what should he have done?
I don't know. If you want me to sit down and figure that out, I can come up with a draft for you. I'm not going to say it's going to be good, but
like I would like examples of what you think should have been done.
I will give it some thought, and we will have this discussion as another time. Already this test went a lot longer than I expected it to, so I'm gonna stop the stream just so we can see what it looks like and make sure everything sounds good and all that. So bye, not you, bye.
Bye.
You know what I mean.
Yes.